God's commandments are really an invitation to a better way of life. It's not just that God likes to be the boss, he likes to hold things over us and give us rules. He's made us to live in a particular way. And when we live in accord with that way, then we're actually going to be the most fulfilled. We're actually going to be happier. So this weekend in the gospel, Jesus answers the question of what's the greatest commandment? And he gives us two. He says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord our God with our whole heart and soul and mind. And then he says the second is a lot like it, to love our neighbor as ourselves. And again, he's not holding those over us like it's supposed to be some heavy rule and it's just about us being obedient, but it's an invitation to a fuller life. Today, as I'm making this video, there's a parishioner in our parish who is incredibly involved and well loved really by a large portion of our community. He's been here a long time. And sadly, late last night, he had a major stroke and he's not going to come out of this. And so we're heartbroken. There have been a lot of tears shed here in the office today, and it's a heavy time. And yet, as we look at his life, it's just such an inspiration. Yeah, we could look at his life and say, well, he obeyed the commandments. He did what he's supposed to do. He loved the Lord his God with his whole heart, soul, and mind, and he loved his neighbor as himself. So yeah, on a surface, I guess he was being obedient, but he was never doing it just out of obedience. He lived that way. And it created such joy in him. If you looked at him, if you knew him at all, he was overwhelmingly joyful. I want that life. It's beautiful and it's inspiring. He served at Mass. He was invested in people one-on-one. He would be their sponsors for RCIA if they wanted to come into the church. He invested in seminarians and helped them to write their papers because he had an English degree, and that was just one way in which he wanted to give back. He invested. He loved. He wasn't doing it out of obedience. He was doing it out of a real place of freedom in his heart. And as he did so, it made him into a joyful person. It gave him a really full and beautiful life. And so I'm really grateful for his witness. And so it's fitting that I'm making this video today and reflecting on his life, because I'm thankful to God that he was put in my life to remind me of this great truth. And so this weekend, as we reflect on God's commandments for our life, especially these two great commandments, we ask God for the grace to accept the invitation that he's really giving us to a fuller and better way of living.